Stardew Valley. This might be one of the most legendary game development journeys. Eric Barone was financially supported by his girlfriend for 4 years and developed one of the highest rated games on Steam all by himself. The heartwarming story behind this beloved masterpiece has touched countless players. At first, Stardew Valley creator Eric didn't intend to work in the gaming industry. Although he studied computer programming in college, he had heard about the industry's long hours and low pay. After graduation, he looked for other jobs, but with the saturated job market and his naturally shy personality, Eric struggled in interviews. Eventually, no company was willing to hire him then. Determined to improve his programming skills, he decided to develop a game as practice, hoping to use it as a portfolio piece in future interviews. He promised his girlfriend Amber Huggyman that he'd finish it in just 6 months, confident it would help him land a job easily. Since both of them loved the game Harvest Moon, Eric decided to start there. Little did he know this decision would change his life. With little knowledge of the gaming industry, Eric had to start from scratch, learning almost everything on his own. He was a perfectionist and rarely sought help, preferring to figure things out independently. From the moment he began development, he spent nearly all his time at home, learning and working. He invested thousands of hours self-teaching art design for the game, creating numerous versions of character models before settling on the final style. This dedication to quality became a key factor in Stardew Valley's success. Any detail that didn't meet his standards was scrapped and redone, making the game more polished with each iteration. The more he improved, the more addictive the process became. During this time, he was completely immersed, often neglecting sleep and food. What started as a 6-month project eventually stretched on indefinitely. Despite finding his passion, Eric faced enormous pressure from the reality of his situation. Besides Amber, even her parents were monitoring his progress, frequently asking when the game would finally be released. Living in Amber's home and relying on her for financial support made him feel ashamed and often led to self-doubt. Thankfully, Amber supported him quietly through it all. To help relieve his stress, she moved with him to a rented apartment, taking on 2 part-time jobs, one as a caregiver after school and another as a barista, to cover their living expenses. Thanks to Amber's unwavering support, Eric released a demo for Stardew Valley in 2012, and they attended that year's Steam Greenlight event together. Steam's Greenlight project allowed players to vote on indie games for feedback, giving popular games higher visibility. Through this project, Eric met Chucklefish, a studio that admired Stardew Valley and offered to become its publisher. They provided legal and website support, freeing Eric to focus solely on development. However, Eric's perfectionism became the biggest obstacle to the game's release. He wouldn't overlook any minor detail, which, while appreciated by players, slowed the development process significantly. What was initially a 6-month timeline became an indefinite journey. By 2014, the pressure had brought Eric to the brink of collapse. He even paused Stardew Valley development to try making a mobile game. But that venture also failed miserably. Doubts crept in, and he questioned if he was truly suited for game development. Once again, Amber stepped in, frequently taking him out for activities to clear his mind, even though she often came home late from her part-time jobs. They moved to a new home, and Amber invited friends over to help him cope with the loneliness of working on a game alone. After 4 long years, longer than a US presidential term, Eric decided it was time to finish the game no matter what. He didn't want to let his loved ones down any longer. Chucklefish began contacting bloggers to promote the game. Despite some remaining bugs, the game received positive feedback from content creators, with some even logging over 500 hours before its release. This external validation reassured him. On February 27, 2016, Stardew Valley was finally released. Just before launch, a serious hidden bug was discovered, forcing Eric to work around the clock for a fix. He managed to resolve it the day before launch and collapsed into a deep sleep after days of exhaustion. When he woke up, the game had already gone live. Having spent 4 years coding, creating dozens of characters, and writing hundreds of storylines, he couldn't judge the game's quality anymore. He initially thought that selling 20,000 copies would be a success, but the reality far exceeded his expectations. Within 2 weeks, the game sold over 500,000 copies. Stardew Valley's legend was just beginning. 6 months after launch, Eric's earnings reached $12 million. Even with newfound wealth, he didn't just relax and enjoy life. Instead, he dedicated himself to game maintenance. quickly addressing player-reported issues. He hired a team for updates and maintenance, enhancing the game experience. Eric describes himself as gentle and sensitive, and he believes that's why he has Amber as his soulmate. In many ways, Stardew Valley is a reflection of his life's dreams and hard work, bringing a realistic experience that resonates with players. Over the next few years, Eric continued releasing free DLC updates annually. This year, he even vowed never to charge for DLCs in the future, inviting players to hold him to that promise. In today's profit-driven gaming market, his approach feels like an act of kindness. Only someone with a genuine passion for gaming could do this, and Stardew Valley is destined to be remembered in history.